Hi everybody, welcome to Will and Raw Arts. I'm Leslie, and today we are going to make a miniature cottage in a shadow box. I'm recreating a family member's cottage in miniature form. I have my references ready to go. Now this is their original cottage. This cottage has since been redone, but I thought it'd be a great keepsake to have a miniature diorama of the original cottage. So let's get started. So I have this little shadow box that I'm going to work with. It's a small shadow box, but I chose this because they can put it anywhere. They can put it on a mantle, on a shelf, or hang it on the wall. Now there's only so much real estate I have to work within this, so this will be our artistic interpretation of the cottage. I'm going to have to tweak things a little bit to fit within this small space. I also discovered that this shadow box has a great clear film to keep dust out, but you can't remove it. So I'm gonna have to work outside the box and then place my creation inside the box in some shape or form I will figure out as I go. I'm actually gonna use this paper that came with the shadow box. So I'm gonna start by taking my reference photo that I have. I'm gonna get the design of the trees in the background. So the old photos I have are both winter scenes and like summer or spring scenes, but we're gonna go with a spring design. I'm gonna sketch out the placement of the house and where the trees are. Okay, so we have our basic layout of where we want everything to be. Now I'm gonna paint in a background layer of trees. To make the cottage, I just used the reference photo and looked at the different shapes that were in the photo. That's how I came up with the design. I didn't use any math. I'm not a math person. I just work with shapes, and what I see, I just replicate to my best ability. Once I had all the shapes I wanted, I just cut everything out on my laser cutter. You could do cutting with X-Acto knife or some type of blade. And I just cut everything out, and then I'm layering my house pieces together. So since my real estate space in my diorama is so small, I am going for more of a layered house. Layered as in I'm going to build my house frame on top of frame instead of traditional box style as I've built miniature houses before. So I've just made multiple layers of the frame, my house. So the depth of the house won't be to scale, but it will work in this type of shadow box diorama. Okay. I'm adding a little door to the inside of the house. It's gonna be a little door. I made window panes for all the windows, but they were so small and thin that they just burned up in my laser cutter. So instead, I'm gonna take some of this twine. I stiffened it up a little bit with glue, and I'm just gonna use that instead. Make it work. For the smaller windows, I unraveled that same string to a 1-ply and used that as well, giving me a thinner width for these window panes. I did it upside down, but that's okay. Nothing to see here, folks. Now I'm adding in these teeny window frames that I'm gluing around the windows. These little guys somehow made it through my laser cutting without burning up. Now it's time to get out the airbrush to give my first layer of white. This airbrush leaves a dusting of paint everywhere, so I put a box to kind of capture that dusting of paint. I made a mess of my table. I don't want that to happen, so. Next, I'll add the siding. I cut strips to fit the house and left a paper border to make it easier to glue the siding all at once. This trick works great for miniature houses, and any spots that are missing the siding, I'll fill those in as well. We'll give another coat of white, get rid of that laser cut crispiness. Okay, friends, it's the next day for me. We have a good coat of white paint on these guys so far. I have some teeny tiny frames to add to some of these windows. Little frames, hard to see, but it does add some nice dimension. This is the inner part of the porch. Got a little texture inside there. We're gonna add some faux windows and faux glass. So we have some trash plastic here. I'm I'm going to glue it in the back here, and so that will give the appearance of glass. What I want to do now is put these two pieces together. Let's let that dry, and now we have the front of our cottage. And now we need to add the roof in. So over the front porch, there's this like little awning. Feel pretty good about that. I'm going to add a basin for the chimney with a thin piece of wood. Then I'm going to paint the roof tiles using a mixture of black, gray, and white paint. So it's a stone fireplace. So I'm going to use these beads. They're little, teeny little beads as the stones for the fireplace. So I mixed a little bit of different colors in the chimney area. Browns and blacks and grays and all kinds of different stone colors. The camp has a name, so I'm going to add that in. There's also some exposed trusses, so I'm adding those as well. We'll trim off those little edges once it dries. I also made a teeny little wood shed, and I'm going to take some toothpicks, and we're going to cut them into teeny little pieces of wood. Let's glue the house in and start building up the land with air dry clay. This cottage is looking out to a lake, and the land kind of slopes up to the cottage from the lake. So now I have to make the teeniest stairs possible. So we have our little stairs. They need to be painted white, but I also added a piece of paper in the back of the stairs to act as the risers. And we're going to glue the steps in. Then I'm adding the railing using cardstock for the post, and I'm using stiff string for the railings. The original camp, there was some flower boxes in the front, so I'm going to add those. I'm using a coffee stir stick cut widthwise for the flower boxes. Filling in some more air drying clay as needed. I think these would be like a natural wood, so I'm going to go ahead and make those brown. I think I'm going to go ahead and add these lights in off camera. That way I can finagle and get up close, and then I'll show you what I did. I threaded my fairy lights through a space I cut in the back of the house. One light I wrapped in orange tissue paper to create a fireplace glow. I left a few lights as they were, and then for the last light, I threaded it through the bottom and made that a lamppost. But that's what I did. So now we have lights if they want to have a little bit of lights. Then I painted the lamppost black. I'll be adding some faux grass into the yard here. So I'm just kind of getting a base coat of ground layer down. So if the grass is missing in any zone, you won't notice because the base is green. Now it's time to start adding foliage. I'm putting some glue down, then adding some fine turf for grass. Some of you may recall, recently I made a diorama in a coffee can with a cottage fall scene. And what I did for that scene is I made a bunch of trees using this sponge material that I painted. So I'm going to use that same sponge material. I'm going to make some little bushes with this color. So we have a little bit of color variance. It's a very green place, but I don't want everything to be totally green. I think that looks pretty. Kind of evergreen bush. So I bought some of these mini trees at the Dollar Tree store, different sizes. So what I'm going to do for these trees is I'm going to trim the trees to my liking. I want a big tree over here. I think I got this one at Easter time, so it's a little sparkly Eastery. This, we're going to cut off the base. And what I need to do is basically cut off half this tree because the frame's going to be in the way. So I'm just going to remove all these branches. So what we're going to do to get rid of that sparkle is we're just going to take some green paint and we're going to paint over the tree. I'm using a mixture of browns and greens, so I'm pretty happy with that. But for another little added zhuzh, we are going to take our glue, put some glue on this guy, and then we're going to take our fine foliage, and that just adds a little bit more realism to the tree. And any part that hangs over the edge where the frame needs to be, I will just trim off. Some little highlights in here. While I was recording this video, we had our first snowfall of the year. So friends, it's the next day. We've had overnight to dry, and now we're just gonna work on tidying up bits. I've done some dry fitting into the shadow box itself, seeing where I need to add some things, trim up some things. So friends, I think I'm gonna call it. I'm just going to add a little bit of filler here and there that's missing, and I think I'm about ready for the final photo shots. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this miniature cottage diorama in a shadow box. I really hope my relative likes it as well. And if you are seeing this before you receive this gift, surprise! Merry Christmas! If you haven't yet already, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. My next project is a Christmas season holiday movie inspired project. Let me know your favorite holiday movie in the comments. Thanks again for watching, my friends, and stay tuned for the final photo results.